Good morning, guys. Unfrequented World Photography coming at you from my studio this morning. And I did a video back in January, which was a little controversial, APS-C versus full frame and the results that I've gotten on those two cameras. And the time has come to retouch on that and do a follow-up using some of the suggestions that I've gotten from you guys and to clarify a few points. I've done this test twice before. The two cameras we're going to use are the Sony A99 and the Sony A77 II. So one is full frame, one is APS-C, and they're both 24 megapixels. So that's one of the things I want to clarify. They have the same amount of megapixels inside them. The APS-C camera is 2 years newer. The A77 II technology is newer than the A99 full frame. So what we're going to do for this test is we are going to run both cameras at ISO 100. Okay, so this is one of the things that we want to address that users commented on last time, that the APS-C falls apart much faster. So let's take a look at base ISO of 100 on each camera. The second thing we're going to look at is lenses. Okay, so for today's test, the two lenses we're going to use are the 2875 Sony on the full frame camera and the 1650 Sony APS-C on the A77 II. So these cameras are equivalent 2875 and this is 2475. Okay, very similar, one made for APS-C, one made for full frame. So there shouldn't be any difference there, but it's one of the things you guys wanted to address and said use a proper APS-C lens on an APS-C camera, and we're going to do that. Fairly new Sony technology, so it should be the same. Very good glass. We'll show you, I use a site called Dixon.com, and I'll show you guys user reviews and ratings for each of these lenses. I'll put them up on the screen right now. I almost forgot there's one more point that we want to address in this test, and that's autofocus. Some people were saying that the autofocus in this full frame was better than this one, and that's why I was getting the results that I got. I was only using single point center in the last test anyhow, but to totally remove that, guys, we'll just manually focus for this test. The last thing I'm going to address is the way we present this to you, that I've started using screen capture so that you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about, not taking a picture of the screen with the camera. We'll just record it and you'll see the full detail. I'm hoping that it's going to be the same result this time. It has been twice in the past, that the full frame camera captures a lot more fine detail. So let's get at it and we'll pick some proper subjects this time and see what results we get. Okay, so the first subject that I've picked is going to be the front yard. There's a bird feeder here. There's a nice little blue spruce at the front. We can pick a couple different focus points. What I'm going to do is set the camera to ISO 100. Okay, we're going to change the aperture to 2.8. And let's start with the bird feeder. Has a bunch of nice raindrops on it right now, so let's focus in on that. And we're going to overexpose by 0.03, just to highlight the feeder, which is a little bit dark. Okay, and then we're going to, the important part, we're going to micro focus manually. Okay. And we're going to use a 2-second timer. We can just pick a different focus point here and do a second shot. And I want to just check the detail, down here in a corner, and we've got a nice shot set up for that, so we'll just Okay, right on those bottom blue spruce needles. And we're at 60 millimeters zoom there on the front of the camera. And if we want, we can, I don't know how much detail we can get on that shed, but we can check, do an exposure without changing anything else. We might as well, and then we'll have 3 that we can compare. So now we've got the A77 II on here. And we're going to set it up the same. Okay, so that took me a second to do the math there. We got to be at about 40. So there's 50. Somewhere in that range there. Will give us the same field of view. The markings are not very precise on this lens, so it's entirely a guess. We might be a little bit off there, but it's going to be as close as I can get it. Okay. You'll notice right off the bat that using the APS-C camera at f2.8, look at how many of these needles are already in focus compared to the full frame, which was either one or the other were in focus. So we'll still move this down here for our second shot. Okay guys, for test number 2, I don't have wildlife just running around, but I do have a 24 by 36 textured canvas, one of my owl shots. And what we're going to do, this is where I think we're going to see more of a difference between the full frame and the APS-C, is on a nice detailed textured macro type shot. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up the 2 cameras and we're going to zoom them in to their full 75 millimeters. So we get just a crop of the owl's head and feathers. And we're going to repeat the test from earlier. One change we're going to do is we're going to make the aperture a little smaller to get a little more detail, maybe 5.6 or something like that, and we'll compare them at that instead of wide open. Okay, ISO 100, 5.6, and manually focus. We'll focus right on that left eye, right eye to us. Okay, and now we'll switch cameras. Okay, in the last test, guys, out here in the backyard, we will do a landscape, 28 millimeters on the full frame, and we'll try to match that on the APS-C. So ISO 100, let's do a couple tests here. Let's do 2.8 and then we'll do f8. So we're at 1/400th, 2.8, ISO 100. A lot of work goes into these tests, and in this case, wet socks. So go easy on me in the results, guys. You're going to see the results at the same time as me. Is this going to make a difference? I don't know. But we're going to find out. There we go. Let's go throw these on the computer and take a look at our results. All right, guys, here we are on the computer. We're going to open these in PaintShop Pro X9. I've made 2 folders and I've renamed each shot in the order that we took them. Guess we can't open 2 separate folders at the same time. But anyway, so this is the full frame A99, the first shot that we took. And here's the second shot with the APS-C A77 II. The first thing I notice is how much more is in focus with the APS-C camera versus the full frame. If we look at the needles on the right, almost all of them are in focus. And if we look at the full frame, you can see it drops off as we get to the back of the little blue spruce here. But anyway, what we want to see is this area right here on the right side of the bird feeder is where we focused in. And so let's zoom in 100% and overlap these and see if there's any difference in detail, which is what we want. Or actually, there's 120%. That's probably good. And there's 120% there. Other than a color difference, guys, which I've always had a problem with the A77 series, the colors are just overripe no matter what selection I put them on. So, but in terms of detail, right here in the front corner, could just be contrast, but I mean, I'm not noticing any difference. The APS-C camera here is holding its own. So at ISO 100, guys, I'm not noticing any difference between the full frame. There's a little bit more in focus, so it looks a little sharper actually. Okay, let's go on to our second shot. Okay, so here is our second shots lined up. The A99, A77, and obviously I can see that we did not focus, I did not focus on the needles in the same place here. So what we'll just have to do is zoom in where we're focused. There's 100% with the A77 II. That looks excellent. 200%. That is full detail, very sharp. I would be happy with that. And of course the A99 down here in the corner. Not quite as sharp, again, because we were manually focused. Is that my fault? The A77 is actually a lot sharper here, a lot easier to focus because of the depth of field, but I mean, this is pretty good. That's 150% with the A99. So again, in this test, you know what, guys? Easily the A77 II is winning with the 1650 on that detail shot there as well. Okay, so the A99. I can see one of my Christmas penguins in the window there. What else are storage sheds good for, eh? Okay, so there's 150% with the A99. We'll get a bit of the roof in here, and you can see the texture on the panels a little bit. It's made to look like a wood green or something chintzy like that, but whatever. And the A77. So there's 200% with the A77. And if you look at these roof tiles, I can tell already it's got a little more sharpening to it, which might be processing in the camera. They're using different processing systems in the camera. So there's a little bit of CA in here as well. That's a difference in lens, I guess. But in terms of overall, at 200%, the A77 is sharper JPEG right out of the camera. And I'm not noticing any real loss of detail. You can see rivets in the outer frame here. You know, I mean, we're zoomed way in there, guys. That shed is probably 30 yards out. Okay, so far what I'm seeing is that when we match these up and we pair them with base settings, they're very comparable. You're not losing anything. I think what's happening in the other tests that I've done and where I've noticed in real life situations is we can't run everything at ISO 100. So as soon as we start changing that, I do 75% of my work is this stuff here, nature and macro. Then I've got to ramp up the ISO, and the A77 II just, then it falls apart as soon as you start ramping up. And I think that's where I'm noticing it in real life situations. So we focused on this eye here. This is the A99. There's 120%. So obviously we didn't get the focal range exactly right. But here we go. There's 100% on the A77. Almost lines up with the 120%. Seeing a little more contrast in the shots from the A77 as well. So the processing engine in the A77 being 2 years newer is probably helping the camera out a little bit. And I have no complaint there either. I mean, there is as much detail here as there is here in the A99. Okay? Okay, so let's take a look at this log pile over here just for giggles on the side, A99, A77. Look at that. The A77 lens, the 1650. It's a bit of a mess here with the A99, and it is a lot better with the APS-C camera. We can actually see the squares on my hammock here, 300%. The wind's got it all twisted around. I'll have to fix that later today. Geez, I'm finding more chores by looking at these. If we look at this at 300%, straight out of the camera, much sharper, much more contrast than the A99. So this is actually surprising to me, guys, at how much better the JPEGs are from the A77 II. So I've never noticed that's a huge difference right there, guys. That's huge. So hands down, again, the A77 II takes that round. And let's just do the final. This is at f8. That was at f2.8. The last shot. This is at f8, and we'll see if the A99 has pulled itself together on this hammock a little better. There, that's a lot better right there. But let's see the A77 at f8. 300%, 300%. We didn't do too bad of a job lining those up. In terms of focal range, again, the A99 is, the contrast is not as nice on that lens. Can be fixed in post, no problem. But again, hands down, straight out of the camera, the APS-C is winning. So there you have it, guys. That's test number 3 that I've done. The first 2 tests I think were a little biased in terms of where I was noticing the difference in the cameras was in my macro work, and I therefore set up macro shots. This time, when we're not using a macro lens, we're just using a 24 to 75 range. The APS-C camera kicked butt in every instance, and I think that's the new JPEG engine in that camera is helping quite a bit. We've manually focused, which eliminated any of that. No, it wasn't phony baloney. The results were the results, and I think if I put a macro lens back on those 2 cameras, even at ISO 400, you're seeing the APS-C camera fall apart, and that's the shortcoming of those cameras. Once you have to start getting up, I really don't like to shoot above 800 ISO on the A77 II. 1600 is my absolute max. I will not go above that for anything, and I don't even like to go there. So I think that's where I'm noticing the difference is, for my type of shooting, the full frame letting in twice as much light with twice as much sensors, bigger pixels. It does a little better job in those situations. But as we just shown in the last test today, and it was a bit of a surprise to me, the APS-C camera actually holds its own, and in these tests that I just did, beat the full frame camera in every scenario. So round 2 goes to the APSC. And for all of you guys that really hammered me on that last test, you were right. And there isn't much difference at all between a good APS-C and a full frame nowadays. Wait till we get our hands on an A99 II and then we'll do these tests again. No, I'm not going to bother. I could be outside. It's sunny and I'm going to go out and shoot some birds or something today. That concludes this testing. You're not going to see this anymore. And it is what it is, guys. For certain things, a full frame is still better. But for 80% of applications, the APS-C, it's just as good. And with the right lens, the 1650 Sony is a killer. It's even better. So thanks for watching, guys.